Hello everybody, welcome to the spring edition of Gen A&P Online. I hope you all have had a wonderful winter break and are ready to kickstart the semester off right. Just to make sure we're all on the same page, this is a fully online course. The lecture and lab component will be online. And I wanted to go ahead and spend a few moments in this video just discussing the layout of the Blackboard page and making sure we know where to be able to find assignments and assessments, as well as to getting help and other aspects of the course that may be necessary to know. So I am in the first page right when you log in. You'll see announcements and whatnot here. I won't post too many of these throughout the semester, but be prepared to see certain aspects of those announcements on this first page here. But more often where you're going to end up going is this Topics and Assignments tab on the left here. You'll also find your textbook in this tab and the syllabus. Those will be the more often used tabs here, just like other courses. But it doesn't show it right here right now, but you'll also see a tab called Kate's Corner at one point. That is a learning specialist that we have at the institution that will be available at your leisure if you need extra help with anatomy and physiology that can provide different perspectives on the topic material for you. So just starting off with going to the textbook here, you'll see each week we have different topic material that we'll be covering from this textbook. If you just click on this tab, it'll take you straight to the textbook, which is fully online. If you want, you can purchase it for, I believe, about $55 from the bookstore, or you can just use it online. It's an excellent interface online. So getting straight to it, this is the first page that it brings me up to on when I click that tab. If you just go to table of contents, it'll bring up everything on the left side here. And so for this first week, we'll need these first 2 chapters worth of material. Go ahead and read through those. Make sure you pay close attention to things that are lining up with aspects that I'm talking about in lecture. Of course, this textbook is significantly more dense than what we'll actually cover in this course, so the textbook is supplementary. So I don't recommend memorizing everything from this textbook. Rather, I want you to understand the concepts that I'm going over in class and use this textbook to fulfill the gaps where I can't connect those ideas for you in lecture. All right. And so great useful source right here, but again, don't memorize everything in this book. Use it as a supplemental source. And so if you have to learn how to use the textbook online, there's this little tab here that'll help you with that as well. But if you need to find the syllabus, you'll find that over here. This is the one for the fall 2021 right now. I will upload the actual syllabus correctly sometime in the first week here. Getting hit with coronavirus over here, me and my family, so falling a little bit behind here. So I'll make sure to get this uploaded in the upcoming week here, but everything you'll see on this will be accurate for the following semester as well. Just dates won't be all correct, but week by week assessments will be on there correctly. So the crucial tab that I want to be able to discuss here, make sure we all understand, is topics and assignments. So right when you get in here, first thing you're going to see is the general A&P lab packet that is updated. This is everything that you need to know for your lab, which obviously is online. And so if you click on this PDF, it will download the pamphlet. I'll go ahead and open it up here for you. Let's see here. This is what it'll look like. It's in a PDF format. If you want to print it, you can. It'll be like $22 to print at like the library or local print shop. You can easily print it from home too, if that works, whatever works for you. I will be going through these different aspects of these pages in detail during the lab videos. And so you'll want these in order to take notes, such as being able to define all the different aspects of each page, as well as be able to understand some of the concepts we're trying to get across in lab. And so what you'll see throughout this course is a lot of the stuff that we talk about in lab is supplementary to the lecture concepts that we like to cover. So lab will be significantly more focused on anatomy, whereas lecture will be significantly more focused on the physiology of that anatomy. All right. So we'll always introduce the anatomy in the lecture, but we'll go into it more in depth when it comes to the layout of the anatomy of the body in lab. Whereas in lecture, we will focus more on the how it works, the physiology component. And so as we scroll through here on the topics and assignments tab, we see the different units or topics. I have everything labeled out in topics. So the first week's material is topic 1, and you'll see each time under these headings the order in which I suggest you complete that week's material. All right. So the first week's material is the introduction to anatomy and chemistry. So it's kind of 2 topics smushed into one, and you'll see that throughout the course. Sometimes we'll do 2 in 1 or 2 over the course of 2 weeks. And what you'll see here is, again, my suggested mode of completion. So you'll always want to watch the lecture videos and read the chapter material for those lectures first. That will give you a head start on what you need to be focusing on for that week. Then you're going to want to go ahead and complete the homework. All right, you'll find this under the lecture tab. This homework is going to be focused on concepts that I'm trying to get you to understand for the lecture quiz. The lecture quiz will be a little bit more involved, and you'll only get 2 shots at it, whereas the lecture homework, you'll get unlimited attempts. So you can keep on doing that as much as you want to get the full credit and the full amount of points that each one of those is going to allot in order to prepare you for the lecture quiz. So you can, in essence, get 100% on every single homework if you just continue to try. The lecture quizzes, you'll get 2 attempts. You won't be able to see your answers, but again, you get 2 attempts, and there's plenty of opportunity for you to get those points by studying basically with this homework, which feeds directly into these lecture quizzes. Homeworks will always be due by that week, Friday at midnight. So we start the week on Mondays, and homeworks will be due by Friday at midnight. The lecture quiz and lab quiz will be due the following Monday at noon. So by the time the next materials concepts have started to come out, I want to give you a little bit of time into that week by noon to complete it. I used to do Sundays at midnight, but seems like a lot of students had issues with working over the weekend and whatnot, so I'm giving you an extra another half day here to complete it into that next week's material. All right. So after you do the lecture quiz, I would recommend watching the lab video and then doing the lab quiz after that. Whatever order makes sense to you, go for it. This is the order that I recommend it based on the way that the material is presented through the course. It's very much so presented physiology based, making you understand the anatomy, and then even more anatomy based with the lab. So you'll be very prepared for the lab if you understand the lecture concepts. Not only will there be homework and lecture quizzes and lab quizzes each week, sometimes you'll find random matching assignments or different concept quizzes scattered throughout the course as well. But for this first week, you'll just focus on these 3 items that will be due. So going into this topic, we can kind of see the layout of what each week will look like. We'll always see a lecture folder and a lab folder. Sometimes I'll have different resources down here for learning, such as one that is going to be helpful for body cavities with this week's lab. But if you dive into the lecture material, you'll see that I have multiple different videos. So one for anatomy and physiology introduction, and then a couple for chemistry. And then I have the PowerPoints on here for you to download at your leisure if you want to print those off and then follow along in the videos. Again, the PowerPoints are going to have the bulk of the information that you need, as well as the supplemental reading textbook. But at the same time, I say things throughout my presentations that you won't necessarily pick up on these PowerPoints. So you you do want to watch these videos and make sure that you're following along and taking notes accordingly for the highest amount of success that you can have in this class. Once you're done watching the videos and taking notes, then you can go ahead and try to complete the homework and the lecture quiz. All right. and then you can go into the lab material. I'll have a lab video up here. I haven't quite recorded it yet. I'll have a lab video up here, and then you'll have the practice lab quiz that you can take twice to test your knowledge before taking the actual graded lab quiz, which you'll only have one attempt at. Okay, so there'll be pulling from the same pool of questions. You can take it twice, and then the third one is graded. Or you can take it once, and then the second one's graded. Or you can just go straight into the lab quiz and take it by yourself without taking your practice one if you're that confident. I highly recommend taking a practice quiz at least, just to see where you're at and to get a feel for the types of questions that I'll be asking on that lab quiz. All right? So that is the gist of what you can expect from me this semester. I hope this was helpful, trying to go through the Blackboard page, trying to help you understand the layout of each week. I know this first week can be really overwhelming with all these other different classes that you can have all at once, and so please email me with questions that you may or may not have. Use the Learning Center and the different tutor sources that we have. They're excellent resources for providing different perspectives throughout the course that I may not be providing for you. But again, just never hesitate to email with a question, because the worst thing that you can do when you have a concern or a question is to not ask it. All right? But other than that, I look forward to having a great semester, and I will chat with you soon in the first week's material.